Hello, good evening, and welcome to tonight's edition of Daily Record Hotline Live. Myself, Keith Jackson, as you can see, got Michael Gannon at Celtic Park. And what has been, even by our standards, Mick, and we're used to things getting a bit harum-scarum and hectic, these last 24 hours feel like a big 24 hours, don't they?
Very much so. I mean, listen, I'm standing here at Parkhead after the Falkirk game, and the game is very much becoming a kind of secondary issue. I mean, Celtic got the result, obviously, three big points in the title race, but it's all about what's happening in the next kind of 24, 36 hours, isn't it? And things are moving on. I mean, listen, we're now being told that the two players should be done and dusted at Celtic. The wide player. Joe
Mavuka.
Mavuka, and also the striker Junior Adamu are pretty much done. They're getting medicals this afternoon, pretty much sorted and in the door. So there's two coming in today for Celtic. They're still in the hunt for, I think, another couple as well. A centre half is a live one, which might allow Stephen Welsh to go back to Motherwell.
Yeah.
And I think there's also still other issues. And then there's, of course, now emerging that Nottingham Forest are interested in Arnie Engels. We're talking about a £14 million bid coming in, being rejected by Celtic at this point in time. Having the feeling is that they can't let him go at this stage in terms of what they require in the squad. But that's not going to go away in the next 24 hours. I think Forest are also chasing other targets, but he'll remain a live one. So it's going to be a mental last 24 hours. I just hope the Celtic signs are players that I can pronounce. That'd be helpful as well.
Well, look,
It seems that this window has been nothing but a challenge for somebody like me. I mean, these names. It's been a nightmare.
This plays havoc with my dyslexia as well, Mick. I don't mind telling you.
Well, I didn't think I had dyslexia, but I think I might have now.
Well, look, let's recap here. Saturday night, Tannadice. Hearts, obviously. And do you know what? Another, and I don't know how much more evidence they need to put on the table now. But they've backed up everything they've done with a real comfortable 3-0 win away to Dundee United. I think that's a massive result. And of course, it then turns a bit more pressure on the Hunters. And we saw Rangers buckle at Easter Road today. I thought they were flimsy. By the way, folks, I've caught up earlier with Scott McDermott at Easter Road, and we'll get Scott's view on it as well. For me, they wobbled. They looked as if they were struggling to grasp the enormity of the situation. That would be a concern for Rangers fans. And then, obviously, Celtic, as you said, Mick, 2-0, home win against Falkirk. Sounded fairly routine.
I wouldn't agree with that. No, I don't think it was routine. I think for an hour, Falkirk are really in this fight. I mean, I think this is in the back of another tough kind of European game for Celtic. The squad, I think, are kind of running the fumes a wee bit. It's a tough game. Falkirk have been a bit as impressive as anyone this season. I mean, John McGlynn's team have been brilliant this year, honestly. And in recent weeks, they've been superb. I saw them thumping Hibs recently, and obviously just on the top six now as well. And I thought they played really well, Falkirk. I mean, a great chance at the first 10 minutes. Schmeichel, a brilliant save, really important save. Celtic got to get through the game a wee bit, had some chances, but didn't. It was a wee bit of a kind of slog for them, and they get the breakthrough, which was huge. Falkirk didn't go away when Benjamin Egan scored the second goal. Falkirk had 13 attempts on goal by that stage after an hour, so they were right in the game. I'm not saying they were dominating the match, but they were in the match, causing a few problems. The second goal kind of killed it, and they're more comfortable from that point on. The goal ruled out for offside, and it was another. I think it's a huge win for City, a massive victory in the kind of. In the circumstances, with Hearts winning last night, with Rangers spelling points at half time, everyone knew here that the Rangers had dropped points. So it was a big victory for Celtic. I don't think it was flashy, or I don't think it was vintage, but it's Martin O'Neill doing what Martin O'Neill does. He gets results. It's the two words that he gave to Wilfred Nancy in that kind of brief 15-minute meeting. But in terms of advice, he said, "Just win." This is what Martin O'Neill does.
Yeah.
Just win. I don't think it was anything flashy, but I thought there was some good performances. The two fullbacks, Kieran Tierney. Listen, we need to stop talking about his form. He's now back to pretty much his best. He's
back to the real deal again. It's the real Kieran Tierney now, isn't it?
Yeah, the last kind of 4 or 5 weeks he's been superb. Again, it was like the Kieran Tierney of old today. I think the other side, Julian Orojo, another name I can't pronounce. Orojo. really impressive. Man of the match. I thought he's actually now. My concern I had for him was I think defensively looked really good. A wee rugged fullback, but needs to do a bit more offensively. I think he added that. Today he was a bit more kind of going forward. He looks the part. It's just a shame that he's locked in a kind of 104-year deal with Bournemouth on mega money. So I know people will be thinking maybe perhaps getting him in the summer on a permanent deal, but I think it's at least another 3 years left in his deal there, and it's not on chump change, that's for sure. So I don't know about that one, but he's been good. And then obviously the goal scorer, Thomas Fanchara, another name I can't get pronounced. just to add to my tongue twisting woes, he was really impressive today actually as well.
Was he?
Importantly, Celtic, none of this nonsense that Tynecastle shelling the ball into him high when he looked as though he's a little boy lost the first half at Tynecastle last week. Ball into feet, he's quick, he can pull it in, he can bring in players around him, he can spin, and then he added the goal. A great ball to Tierney and a great glancing header, but his movement is good, he's quick. I think he's looked the part. I think he does look like the focal point that they've been crying out for. If he can stay fit and fire, I think that he will deliver for Celtic. So yeah, things are looking up. I think a wee bit at Celtic. I know there's still the atmosphere here is still fairly toxic. I mean, the board have copped it all day. Because let's face it, I mean, the signs needed for weeks, and they've been late again and doing their business, and we don't know what these guys are going to be like coming in.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. Like, I've seen there's a few comments here. Some Celtic fans don't seem to be that impressed. Certainly with Mavuka. But I think that there's not around £4.5 million for this guy.
Well, yeah, he's not at the best of times of it. Lorion, he's I think it was very few goals and assists this year, very few appearances actually. He's kind of second or third choice down there. So I get the kind of reticence, but then you look back, he was at the Bodo Glimt, the trendiest team in Europe at Bodo. Played against Celtic actually a few years ago, I think, as well. And he was a big money move for them. Hasn't quite done it. So there's pedigree there. He's got the kind of goal of getting involved in Norway as well. I get the fact that he's not the first target. I mean, we talked during the week about another couple of unpronounceable wingers that they're after, and those have gone by the wayside. I mean, I think especially the lad playing in Italy had a lot of noise about him being a right top talent. Not getting him and going to Mavuka instead. People are maybe thinking it's second, third, fourth choice. And listen, at this stage, it probably is.
Yeah,
that's the reality. I mean, Celtic, and this is why these guys are going to have to hit the ground running and be decent, because if they're not, there's going to be questions asked about why they're scrambling around the last 2 days of the window and having to go down to their B, C, D, E, F options. When they've had all. And listen, they've not replaced Nicholas Kuhn since July. It's not as if this is the position that they haven't been looking for hours. It's been months and months and months. This has been needed. So
well, they filled the position by using a guy that they were going to sell to Birmingham. So
their own third choice winger is now the first choice winger, and it might be that. Listen, I thought Yang came off injured today. He was decent again, but this new guy might be competing with Yang for that role, and maybe back up to Yang. Which amazingly think that back in July when Yang bags were packed in August, heading down the road, he's on the backing up M6 up and down the road to Birmingham a couple of times. So it's not been a smooth window by any stretch, and listen, the punters are kind of seeing through that as well. I mean, the chance again today, the big banners, the big kind of the traitors banner. And I've not seen this traitors on BBC apparently. There's a kind of banner that had boarded up as traitors. In the bands, in the fan band and all that stuff.
You've never seen the Traitors, mate? No,
never seen the Traitors, no.
Wow. Okay.
Never seen it. No, but apparently it's a big show. So I did get explained to me, because I wasn't really sure what was going on with that one.
The big hoods and all this.
Yeah. All right. So I wasn't quite sure what that meant. Much embarrassment.
Well, look, I mean, we've had to do our Monday jury questions for tomorrow's paper. I don't think two's enough for Celtic. I think they need a winger. Obviously, that would be taken care of if this pair are kind of secured as we expect them to be, Mavuka and Adamu. I think they need, obviously, a striker, another striker, so Adamu fills that. I still think they like me. I still think they need a centre defender, and I think they need a bit of a minder in the midfield. And so for all those reasons, and I'm saying, so I think 2 is probably too light. For all those reasons, surely they can't contemplate selling Engels, because what I'm saying is, I think they could do with reinforcements for midfield. You can't sell one of the guys that is there, can they?
At this point in time, they can't. And listen, that was put to Martin O'Neill after the game today, and he said they can't contemplate selling us now because they can't. I think they've been weaker rather than stronger come out this window. But it gets back to if Celtic are a fully functioning recruitment-led team, that they should be agile enough to be able to sell someone like Arnie Engels. I mean, if 14 million quid bid is accurate enough, and it might even rise tomorrow, given the kind of nature of the window, Celtic, I mean, realistically, should be able to start that up and say, okay, we've turned a profit on a player who hasn't quite hit the heights they maybe thought he would. I think he's a decent enough player, but I think maybe the Scottish game and him aren't a great mix, which is a bit unfortunate when you play about 60 games in Scotland a year. So I think that would be good business to make some money on him and move him on, but still don't have the players lined up to come in, and they can't guarantee they'll have somebody there ready to come in to take that place. Which is a functioning recruitment system would have that. It would have 3 or 4 options they can go and get if they sell someone. Yeah. That's what would be nimble in the market is. Being a modern club a modern selling club that certainly are, that you're ready to go for the next one. So when Nicholas Kuhn goes in July, the next one's in the door. When Kyogo goes last January, the next one's in the door. When Engels gets a chance to sell him for 14, 15 million quid, you take the dosh and go and get another one for £4 million and start again. They can't do that because they're not functioning in a proper manner just now and haven't been for a while.
That'll be killing this Celtic board, won't it? They'll be, on the one hand, they'll be thinking £15 million for it, desperate to do the deal, but they've boxed themselves in Tom McKean style. They literally cannot do that deal, no matter what Nottingham Forest put in the table.
They'd done it in the summer with Dyson Maeda. Dyson Maeda was at his absolute peak value last summer, and they couldn't sell him because they hadn't had the replacements lined up to go and replace him. Or they didn't have their replacement strikers because they had to keep him to be a striker. They brought in 2 wingers who, listen, we could argue how good they are anyway, but in theory, they had the 2 wingers to replace Maeda, but they couldn't cash in because they didn't have a striker, and he needed to be a striker until they got any actual after the window closed. So it broke down in the summer, it cost them a fortune. If this one they can't do this because of their own kind of incompetence, it's going to cost them again. Okay, they got 30 million quid waved at the window because they haven't had the proper wheels turning in the recruitment side of things. But that's something they're going to have to take a step back in the next few months and address and really sort out for the future. In the meantime, it's all about tooling up for the Premiership title race. I think Adamu I know he's, again, numbers aren't great this year. I think the profile of him in his past, I think, suggests that he's a player. I think he's got a physicality that Celtic don't have, a bit of muscle up top and in the box defending set pieces, which I think they need. But yeah, I think you're right. I think another centre half would be beneficial to Celtic. I think you're right as well. A bit of muscle midfield. I think they do need a bit of. I mean, if you could sell Engels and bring in a bit of clout in there, he could even free up Cal McGregor to be a bit more advanced as well. I don't think that'd be a big problem. But Celtic have been so stuttery and so dithering and so kind of disorganised in this window. They can't really bank on it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. On Thursday night, we thought they had two wide men lined up either or, and then they've gone with the wayside, which happens. But it's all a bit late. It's all a bit kind of frantic. It's all a bit desperate. It's all a bit panicked. It's all a bit kind of supermarket sweep, isn't it? And this is the 3rd window in a row, or at least, that Celtic have been running about their pants in the head and their hair on fire and all that stuff in the last few days of the window. And there has to be a less stressful way of doing this. But in the meantime, Martin O'Neill's getting results and he's getting them out of jail. I mean, there's no right to be really in this race.
That's what I was going to say to you, Mick. Obviously, you've been stalking Martin O'Neill over this period. He's talking about waking up in the middle of the night and seeing your face at the end of his bed.
He's sick of the sight of me.
So, did he look as if there was a bit of a weight off his shoulders, knowing now that at least there's 2 bodies coming in the door, or what was his general demeanour?
Yeah, a little bit. Listen, he was delighted to get the win today. I think he knew that Falkirk were a threat. He seemed a bit happier to get Cup in the door. listen, the reality is that he kind of put his neck on the line a wee bit on Thursday night. I know I end up getting slaughtered globally for asking the question. He's talking about see meaning sleep, but he actually did kind of confirm those two players, which is about as strong as you get for a manager at that point in time. He's saying they're not a million miles away, and we're kind of hopeful. That's about as strong as it gets. You know, it's like these windows, the managers are cagey.
Yeah.
So we all went away from it thinking, well, they must be close because that's not something managers usually come out with. So to not get one of those two guys, you also know it's not the absolute first choices. And by the way, they two probably weren't the first choices either. But he seems happy enough to get two in and once more. I think there will be opportunities to get more in. I think the way the window works, especially now with the Scotland window closing after the English window, I think there'll be opportunities to go and get another couple. I wouldn't surprise me if a couple come in on loan late on as well tomorrow.
Nick, this Hotline Live is taking a weird twist and not one for the better. Marzuno's just commented, I'd rather see Mick than Keith in my dreams. Where are we going with this?
Well, it's more like your nightmares if you see me kicking about in your dreams.
Yeah,
I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
No, this is it's taking a turn. Mick, I'm going to let you go. Thanks very much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow. Busy day for all us tomorrow, isn't it?
It's a good thing is, Keith. Apparently, the work is double time tomorrow. We're getting at least double time. Apparently,
excellent.
I've been told, so that's good. So I'll get about £4. I'm up to about £4 an hour now, so it's quite good.
Michael, see you tomorrow, mate.
See you later on. See you.
So a little bit earlier, what I have to tell you, we've got a treat for you coming up before the end of the show. We've got our transfer guru, Scott Burns, will join us to give us where the market is this Sunday night with, what is it, just over 24 hours left of the window. But before we join Scott, we'll join the other Scots. I caught up with Scott McDermott at Easter Road after Rangers dropped 2 points, and gave Celtic the chance to go back over the top, which they then duly took against Falkirk. So here's what Scott thought of it. And I'm joined from Easter Road by Scott McDermott from the Daily Record. Scott, that looked to me like the sort of Rangers performance that the Rangers supporters have been dreading. You know what we've been talking about do they dare place their trust and their faith in this team, or will they get let down? And I just thought Rangers, they didn't seem to grasp the enormity of the occasion today.
I think you've nailed it just for that last comment, Jacko. I mean, looking at that performance, you would wonder, are Rangers really in a title race? The players, they didn't look as if they were hungry for it. They lacked intensity, they lacked tempo, lacked urgency pretty much for the first whistle. And listen, I've labelled that against this Rangers team at various points in the last, feels like the last couple of years. But in terms of under Danny Rowe, I think he'd have been a bit concerned with that performance. I don't think he'd have seen that coming. I think about what he said on Thursday night. Obviously, I was in Porto after the European campaign ended, and it was almost like he was saying, right, that's Europe put to bed now. We've got 15 games in the league, laser focus to go and try and win this title. And at the first hurdle, they turn up here the day and don't show anything, no appetite for it, which was...
That's what I thought. That's what it looked like to me, Scott. They didn't go into it with the right mentality. They turned up, and it looked as if they thought they could just go through the motions there.
Yeah, and I think they worked fairly hard. I wouldn't throw that at them, but just lacked that real desire and, as I say, that hunger and urgency to get things done, to get the job done. And I think it's hard when you start a game like that, the way Rangers did. They then couldn't get out of second gear. They did try to up at the second half. No doubt Rowe would have had a few choice words for them at half time. And you expected a real improved performance, but try to think of big chances they had. I mean, Mikey Moore obviously thought he'd scored late on. The goal was ruled out for offside. I think Raphael Salinger had one save, save of note to make from distance. When you think of a team going for a title in the second half of an away game, you'd expect the opposition goal to be peppered with shots and crosses. I just thought they lacked in all departments today, even set pieces. Jacko, the set pieces have been terrific, as we know. Yeah. In recent months, they were abysmal today, absolutely abysmal.
I think, Scott, and it's the concern, and it's why I said, and I obviously get slaughtered for it, I struggle to see Rangers as genuine championship winning material. And the main reason for it is the lack of creativity, the lack of, set pieces is one thing, but in open play, I think they really struggle. Now, there I looked at, what should be on paper a pretty decent forward four with Asgard playing in behind Chermiti, and then you've got Gassama and Skov Olsen. Gassama and Skov Olsen contributed nothing. I'm not sure what Asgard contributed, and Chermiti had one of these performances that make you think, what were they thinking about spending that sort of money on?
No, you're right. There was no creativity, no imagination, a real lack of guile in the final third. And Danny Rowe, to be fair, has commented on that in recent weeks, even when Rangers were winning. No, he wanted more creativity, more chance creation, and obviously wanted to be more ruthless in the box in the final third. As I say, they were lacking all of that today. And you're right. Look, Skov Olsen has come in with a big reputation, big profile, big price tag. And I get the fact that he's still getting up to speed. He's still getting used to Scottish football. He's only been here a couple of weeks. But I must admit, on the back of him having a full week's training while the squad were in Porto, working with a coach, I really expected this to be a game for him today to come in and really, really show what he's got. And I must admit, he showed very little. He still looks way short, I think, on fitness and in sharpness. He failed to get at his man or take his man on at any point today. Failed to create chances for Rangers. Really disappointing. Asgard was the same, and we've been critical of Asgard this season at various points, but it looked as if he turned a wee corner and was coming on to a game. He slipped kind of back into his old ways again today. And as you say, Gassama and Chermiti offered very little as well. Mikey Moore probably, when he came on, offered a wee bit more just in terms of urgency and energy, but it's a big worry for them going forward, and it's why obviously they're looking to get another attacker in before this window closes. Yeah,
we'll come to that, because I think that's the main takeaway from that game today, is that unless Rangers do significant business in the next 24 hours, I don't think this lot has got enough in the tank to win this title. I think it could hinge upon now what can be done in the final few hours of the window, and we'll come to that, Scott. But again, I think it's an alarming thing from Rangers' perspective, was that you're spot on. Mikey Moore raised the urgency levels, raised the energy levels. He looked as if he knew what was at stake as soon as he came onto the pitch. Now, that's a boy, he's not even a Rangers player, he's a Spurs player.
Yep.
A teenager, a kid. And he was the one for me that when he got onto the pitch, looked as if he was prepared to do whatever was required to try and turn 1 point into 3. I think that's an issue for Rangers, if you've got players that don't want to take responsibility. And I'm going to come back to Skov Olsen, because I thought he got himself into positions in the first half out that right-hand side. Well, he shirked taking responsibility. He did the easy thing. He kept possession. He knocked it inside. Yeah. He didn't drop a shoulder. He didn't try and beat anybody. He didn't try and get a shot away. And I think there'll be Rangers fans looking at that and being a little bit worried that this guy, he'll need to produce more.
No, you're right. Look, Skov Olsen, he's renowned for being in that right-hand side and cutting in and getting shots and crosses away in his left foot. And as you say, that there were opportunities to do that. This wasn't... Yeah. Listen, Hibs defended pretty well, but I didn't feel it was a game where Hibs were just all out defence and Rangers were going to find it really hard to break them down. I felt there was space. There was space there for Rangers to go and exploit at times, because Hibs were going trying to win the game as well. They certainly created more chances than Rangers. So there was an opportunity for Skov Olsen to show something today, and he hasn't done it. And as I say, look, they're leaving here with a point. If it wasn't for Jack Butland in the first half, it could have been even less. And it's a major... I've just said in the kind of match report there, this month of February was supposed to be the month that really kind of that was going to define Rangers' season, because of the fixtures they've got. And the other night, as I say, Rowe was adamant this was almost like the start of the title run-in for them, where they really had to show their mettle. That's why I think he'll be so disappointed in that display. I actually think it'll have taken him aback a wee bit, just how poor it was.
I think it'll knock the wind out a few sails, that one, Scotty. I think as well, and I think reverting to the start of the conversation, Rangers fans have been over this. It's actually officially Groundhog Day tomorrow, by the way, in America. And how many times have Rangers watched this movie? And I think that's a worry. Every time Rangers get the opportunity to push at an open door, they sort of fall over their own feet, don't they? And obviously this is, look, everybody's going to drop points in this title race between now and May. So if this is a one-off, then, you know, I think Rangers could say, well, it's not the worst result in the world. But I think it's the man of that performance that have got alarm bells ringing there, Scott.
Aye, if they don't vastly improve on that display between now and the end of the season, they won't win the title. I mean, they're going to have harder games than this coming up in this running. They can't afford. I mean, what's 6 points behind Hearts now at the top? They can't afford any more slip-ups like this.
Yeah, and by the way, that's a Hibs side that was missing some kind of key performers: Mulligan, Campbell, McGrath, and Bowie, obviously away. So you know. I actually think Hibs, if anybody deserved to win that 3 points today, I think it was them, and I think that's the indictment of that Rangers performance.
You're right. I actually thought, when I looked at the Hibs team, and you're right, they're missing those players. The new boys were on the bench. You know, I'm looking at the midfield. I think Joe Newell first starting over a year in the league. I think this game's there for Rangers to go and win, especially with Skov Olsen and Chukwuani coming in, a bit of freshness. But no, really poor for the off, and they just couldn't get it going even in the second half.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of what Rangers need to do in this transfer window, what's left of it, does it feel to you now, Scott, as if it's one striker? That's it?
Yep. Yeah, I think so, Jacko. I think it's going to be one player. I'd be surprised if that player isn't Cameron Archer. I think he's the one they want on loan for Southampton. I know why. I can understand why they're going for a player like that. In terms of his qualities, different to the other strikers that they've got. And I think they'll probably get that deal over the line, obviously, with Danilo going out back to Holland. But as you said earlier, is that one signing going to really get the title for you? That remains to be seen. It's a big ask.
Yeah, and I'm still curious about the decision to let the young boy Curtis go to Kilmarnock. Because I look at what they've got in the wider areas. I'm yet to be convinced by, you know, obviously Skov Olsen will need a bit of time, as you said, but the other guys, I mean, they're in a game that they had to try and win, you're thrown on by Rami in the second half there. So there's one or two things that just feel a bit curious.
And you've got £4 million Oliver Antman on the bench that can't get off it. I mean, he's your other right wing option. Look, you're right. I understand why they want Curtis to go out on loan, because they want him to get more games and they want to try and aid his development at Scottish Premiership, not a good Scottish Premiership club. But I must admit, after his performance in Porto the other night, and I asked Danny Rowe that question, I just thought, is that going to change his mind? I mean, he looks, because Antman obviously came on the other night, he's been out injured, but looks devoid of confidence and belief and any creativity, whereas Curtis looked really composed, really confident, and might have just gave them something different in this run-in. But he's gone. They've went with Antman, Skov Olsen, Jussi, Bayrami. They're relying on these guys to try and win them this league. But as I think it's a big ask.
And the only other one to talk to you about, Scott, is obviously Ryan Naderi. Rangers have been in and around this for, it feels like about the last 10 days now, doesn't it? I don't know if it's quite that long, but is that one, you think, is it a press pause? Is it dead in the water? Or could that be revived? You think it's going to be just one in?
I think it's just going to be one in, and I think it'll probably be Archer. The Naderi thing is active, and he's somebody that Rangers clearly want to bring in. For what I hear, he's probably one that they think is more for the future rather than right now. So whether they can agree a deal with Hansa Rostock to get him in, at the end of the season, you agree now and he comes in the summer, or listen, if there's a hitch with the Cameron Archer deal, because there are other clubs interested in Archer, then they might try and push through the Naderi deal before the deadline. But I don't see the two of them coming in now, but I could see potentially the two of them signing with Naderi maybe coming in for the start of next season.
Right, brilliant, Scotty. I'll let you go up the road. Thanks for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have you on the show at some point in the next few days.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
That was Scott McDermott there. Listen, there was a clip of Danny Roll from after the game, but I think we've spent enough time. And Scott Burns is waiting patiently to join us, and that's where all the news is at. Burnsy, you there?
I'm there. How are you? You well?
I'm good. I'm good. Have you been a busy boy these last 24 hours?
I've been a busy boy in the last 15 minutes. When Michael Gannon said earlier on we're on double time, but I think he's read the memo wrong. It's 10 hours instead of 20 hours.
Burnsy, what have you got for us? What can we expect over the next 24 hours? And I'm going to throw one name at you right away because we've had a couple of comments and it seems a glaringly obvious place to start. Tawanda Masinisi, what is happening and do you expect there to be anything late? I know that Celtic have got a winger halfway in the door just now. Would Celtic move for him? Do you expect Celtic to move? Do you expect Rangers to move? We're looking at that team today and they're crying out for creativity and a cutting edge.
There's no doubt that on current form, you could walk into either Rangers or Celtic and improve them vastly. The fact is that neither club have made an official approach to Motherwell before now. Tells you, well, I think there's a, see when it comes to Scottish football with Rangers and Celtic, I think there's a certain snobbery. They tend to look abroad and look down their nose a lot of the time at players at other Scottish clubs. They would rather put the money out with than go to a rival and put money in there a lot of the time, I think. And I think there's an element of that. We'd rather go abroad. I mean, with his stats this season, he's obviously won that accolade at the African Cup of Nations. He should be a stick-on for a bigger club. The one thing I would say is, okay, clubs can come in. I think when there's talk of Blackburn Rovers for 1.5 million, I said I put an X. What's that for his left leg? I mean, just what's his what's his value? You know what I mean? He's absolutely flying. He's a goal scorer, so creative. I mean, Lennon Miller went for was it 6 million? Lennon Miller went for roughly or something like that.
Five-ish there or thereabouts. I think.
Five-ish, right. So surely, if you're Motherwell, he's in the exact same boat. He's a long-term contract, so you wouldn't be selling him cheap. So it's one of these ones where Rangers or Celtic going to pay the money in this window. I mean, I know that Rangers paid that for the boy, was it 4.5 for the boy from Sturm Graz, but for whatever reason, I don't even know if Rangers and Celtic have been on the Motherwell to even inquire about a price, which just baffles me because, as I'm
staggered by that, Burnsy.
He's better than what they've got, and I know that there's been no contact. Up to certainly last night, there had been no contact from Rangers or Celtic with his camp.
I'm telling you now, Burnsy, we had to do jury questions for tomorrow's paper. I think if either of them was to knock on Motherwell's door with around about £3 million, maybe a little bit more, I think Motherwell have then got a really difficult decision. And it staggers me that, as you said, these conversations haven't taken place.
I think £3 million, I don't even think you would get a response from the door, Keith.
No?
I genuinely don't. Well, it's not as if Motherwell need to sell because they have got the money. They've still got money in the bank from the Lennon Miller sale. I think it would be take a top dollar bid to get him out of Motherwell. I mean, I think that Jens Berthel Askew has already said that he doesn't want to sell any top stars in this window. And I think that I don't think Motherwell will sell here unless it is very, very top drawer. I don't think £3 million would even open the door for that. I think you'd be near the £5 million mark before they'd even consider it. But I think the way it's going, I think that if he was to continue in this form to the end of the season, he'd get a massive move. And there's every chance that the manager could get a massive move and he could take Masinisi with him, sort of thing. So if I was Masinisi just now, would you want to jump from Motherwell to go to Rangers or Celtic? And no disrespect, right? But Danny Roll's got the house in order. Martin O'Neill is getting the house in order at Celtic, but they're miles off the Rangers and Celtics we have seen in previous years. They're a shadow of the sides, and they don't have the same lure and pull as they had in the past. So I think for guys like Masinisi and that, he's more likely to look down south or a big club in Europe.
Okay, then what can we expect, Scott, if it's not going to be Massawini?
Well, you've got on the Rangers one, you've got obviously, as Scott said there, they're obviously keen to get Cameron Archer in. That was well advancing down the road. I think they might have a wee sweat now. The concern is that Southampton looks like they're about to sell Adam Armstrong.
Right.
That possibly to Wolves, and obviously, but they are trying to get another striker in, and I think if they get the other striker in, that should open the door for Archer to make the move to Ibrox for certainly to the end of the season. But as it stands, I think they need to get one more in, which could be but it might force Danny Rowe to look at other options, or perhaps have another dig at Nadiri late on again. But
that one's not doesn't feel to me as if it's completely dead yet.
No, it's not dead because obviously the players are aware of the interest. The players, I think, quite keen on moving to the Scottish Premiership. It's a fair step up from the third Bundesliga. So I think Rangers are aware that the players keen on that as well. So I think that will happen. It might happen in this, probably more likely to happen in the summer, but in the last 24 hours of the window, you just never know what happens. It's quite mad at times, and when clubs get the money out, then that's when deals seem to happen.
What about Celtic, Burnsy? Are you? I mean, obviously we know the two that are currently going through their medicals, I think.
Yeah.
What do you expect? That can't be it for Celtic, can it? And Arne Engels, as we're saying, as Mick and I were discussing, I really don't think that Celtic can even contemplate agreeing a deal with Nottingham Forest at this late stage.
I think it depends if Forest go again. If Forest go again ahead of the window and make a big bid, and Celtic make a decent profit on that, I think Celtic have to look at it, because I don't think Arne Engels has hit the heights that he maybe should have had at Celtic. I mean, he's certainly an exceptional player, but I don't think he's hit the heights that Celtic were expecting. I mean, they're obviously bought him for a lot of money, and we're probably looking to flip him for, I don't know, 20, 30 million probably. But I don't think he's really just. I think he's really done that. He's done well in Celtic, but I don't think he's jumped to the sort of levels that Celtic would expect. So I think if Forest were to go up and Celtic were to make 5-6 million on it, I think they might look at it, because it also frees up money. I mean, obviously Celtic got money in the bank, but Celtic are very much short term just now. You can see that with their signings. I mean, Martin O'Neill's only there to the end of the season. You know what I mean, they need to, whatever's happening long term, whether it's Martin stays on or whether a new manager comes in, that Celtic team needs to be rebuilt again. You know what I mean? And the ones that are coming in just now, I mean, a lot of them haven't played a lot of football, and they'll take. I mean, they're getting a title race just now, and Celtic need players to hit the ground running. I mean, some of these guys have hardly played any games. It could take a month or two for these guys to get up and running. But at that time, you know what I mean, it could be too late. You know what I mean? But they could come in and make an instant impact. But it's all very bargain basement for me. Celtic's transfer dealings in this window.
Yeah, it's been shoddy. Do you expect more than two though?
Yeah,
coming in the way.
They're still trying. I mean, obviously, Motherwell, you spoke about Masmarisi, but the other way, Motherwell are still waiting to see if they get Stephen Welsh back on loan. I know that the player is very keen to go back to Motherwell to go and play. I mean, I don't know why Celtic took him back, actually. The way that Celtic actually treated him, I know he's a Celtic player, but it's not been great. I mean, he's been recalled by Celtic so they could have a look at him. They play him in a Scottish Cup tie against Auchinleck Talbot, and then that means that Celtic can no longer sell the player in the January window. It doesn't make sense, because he's now played for two clubs, so he could only go back to Motherwell. He's now, I mean, Trusty was suspended, and then Dane Murray and Liam Scales start in front, and Stephen Welsh has been exceptional for Motherwell. He's been one of the best defenders in the league this season, and yet he can't get in that Celtic team. What does that say? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And it's another shocking decision from Celtic, because surely he'd done really well in the first part of the season. Martin O'Neill could brought him in, had a look at him, and then said, okay, if I don't fancy you. But then the fact they played him against Celtic means they could have probably sold him in this window and made some decent money. But instead, they've just boxed themselves in again. It's just typical Celtic.
Yeah. Well, Martin O'Neill even said when Stephen Welsh went back to the club, Martin O'Neill was almost apologetic about it, wasn't he? Saying that, that there was a chance. He mentioned it himself that he's coming back just now, but he could be back at Motherwell before, when the transfer window shut. So Yeah, it's all nothing much about Celtic's policy in the transfer window has been making sense. But I still think they've got to try for a central defender, and they've got to try and get a bit of an enforcer into the midfield.
They are definitely trying for a central defender. They have one set target as it stands. If that comes off, I'm told that Stephen Welsh will go back to Murrow. But as I said, as it stands, it's one set target. Whether that changes tomorrow, if they can't get him, and others fall into place after the Premier League window shuts. But as it stands, they're working on one central defender, and that's what Stephen Welsh's Murrow hopes are hanging on.
Any names or clues for the viewers, Burnsy?
European top league, right? That's it. That'll do you.
Right, mate. And Hearts, I mean, they've not been shy in this transfer window either. Are they done, Burnsy? Do you anticipate they might go again before the window?
Well, I did the Hearts United game last night, and we spoke to Derek McInnes after the match, and Derek's obviously made it quite clear that he would like another striker in with the captain and talisman Lawrence Shankland been out for 6 to 8 weeks. They've made a couple of bids for players and haven't met valuations, or they feel that the players have been overpriced. So those, in Derek McInnes' words, hit the post. He said last night that he probably doesn't expect anything, but like I've just said, in the last 24 hours, anything can happen. You know what I mean? There could be a last-minute opportunity. So Hearts are not closing the door on late business, but as it stands, Derek McInnes thinks it's unlikely. So he didn't want to get the Hearts fans' hopes up too much. They're too busy dreaming about the title, so they don't want any more distractions.
And are you sniffing around anything else, Burnsy, tonight?
I mean, as you know, obviously across the city, Hibs have got a fair bit of money to spend after the Kieran Bowie transfer, but they've obviously got a couple of deals well down the pipeline. I think they're both players. Ante Sumo, a Croatian winger from Slaven Belupo, he and the German experienced right back, Filip Paslak of Bochum.
Well, they've been trying to get that one for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they were both at Easter Road today. So I think they've both done their medicals, and I would expect that they'll both be done ahead of the deadline. And I think, well, I certainly know that Hibs they've done obviously 3 players, I think, in this window. They are looking to bring more in.
All right, Burnsy. Well, listen, I know you'll be all excited. You'll struggle to get to sleep tonight, just like Christmas Eve. And I'm sure that at some point tomorrow, probably regularly, we'll be in touch. All
right, mate. All the best.
Thanks, Burnsy. And thanks out there. That's us for tonight. Listen, thank you so much for all the comments. Sorry I wasn't able to get through them all with you. But Daniel will be back tomorrow, and he's much better at doing this than I am. So we'll see you then.